Good evening everyone. So we're going to start the live Q&A with Nathan Hill from Practical Fishkeeping Magazine. So I'll just see if I can flip the phone round so we all know he's here with his mic ready to go.
Howdy guys, you alright?
So I'll wait for a few of you guys to get on. We have got some questions that people have wrote into us beforehand to get the ball rolling and start answering some questions. So obviously don't forget to write in all your any myth busting, any questions that you want to put to Nathan. So we'll go around and show you all the fish that we've got in as well, and I'm sure Nathan will comment on a few species species, all fishing knowledge he's got as well. So should we start with some questions, Nathan, that people have wrote in with?
Entirely up to you. What have we got?
So we've got...
I'm easy either way.
Yeah, so we'll start off with one to get some people on. Practical Fishkeeping, hi everyone.
Hello, PFK.
So we've got Simon who's put, what is your all-time favourite family of freshwater fish?
Oh my days, my all-time favourite family of freshwater fish. That is a tricky one actually, because throughout my life I've kind of flitted from family to family. If you'd asked me 30 years ago, it would have undoubtedly been catfish. At the moment, I'm all about barbs. I'm just all about barbs at the minute. So for decades, I've been writing off barbs as a sort of dither fish, of like the not quite fancy fish. They're just fillers. But yeah, now I recently got invested in some cherry barbs. Because I was just trying to give them a bit of a platform, because it's one of those kind of forgotten fish. And then yeah, the barb bug hit. I went across over to Wigan. I was in Pier, and they had some Pethias setni that I fell in love with. I picked them up, I popped those into a tank. They just became shy as anything. They didn't do anything for ages. So yeah, I ended up setting up a tank dedicated just for them, not far off of a 4x2x2. And then, yeah, by that point, I'd also gotten into melon barbs, Halidaria fasciata, and then I got into Dawkinsia. I went down that whole biotope path. So yeah, at the minute, I genuinely think it's barbs. It's the whole cyprinid thing. Ask me this time in 2 years, it'll change again. It just always flips.
They are a very underrated family, aren't they, barbs?
Yeah, they are. I've been surprised at just how much of a hierarchy they've got, how much interplay they have between them. They're fascinating to watch. Just again, I don't think people keep them right. I think a lot of the times they're kept in too small a tank with unsuitable tank mates, and you just don't see any of that natural behaviour. And of course, the other key thing, and this applies to so many fish, get them in a biotope. Just get them in something that replicates their natural habitat. And that's when you're going to see all behaviours, which is exactly what I'm getting out of mine. Yeah. The colours are superb. You'll see it's coming up in a future issue, but yeah, the Pethias I've got, unbelievable fish.
Yeah, definitely make a big difference, biotopes, to the behaviour and colour of a lot of tropical fish.
Absolutely, yeah, I love them.
But yes, also don't forget to send your questions in, guys. We've got a few viewers on now, so asks. Charles has not a question for Nathan, but a question for us. We do have some parrotfish left, yes, Charles. We have plenty of them in stock. That's probably could make a question out of that ourselves, to be honest with you. Is I know your standpoint and thoughts on a lot of captive bred hybrid fish. I know PFK, you've got an article coming out soon, haven't you? I believe.
No. It's just the op-ed at the back. And so, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm in a dilemma, because the whole hybridisation of fish, it's a really grey area in some respects. So at one extreme, you've got the everyday hybrids that most people don't even know are hybrids. So half our wagtail, half our platies and half our swordtails, they're all just what you call like a soft hybrid. It's like a mix of Zophophorus species in there. But at the other extreme, you've got the kind of what I call the manufactured fish. So you've got things like parrot cichlids, for example. And those things, I mean, I can't remember the chap's name. It's a guy, I think he was in Poland, and he used to do skeletal reconstructions of fish. So he used to get bodies of fish, get rid of all the flesh and just reassemble all the bones.
Yeah,
And he did parrotfish. And oh my God, the state of it, the absolute state of this fish. You could see the deformities weren't just in the body, it's in the bone structure.
Yeah.
The jaw was all twisted. You could see those problems in the spine. It was a real mess of a fish. So I don't know, I'm just not a fan of hybrids to that extent. But then, paradoxically, show me a fancy goldfish, like a line-bred goldfish, like a ranchu, love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah,
Now,
I think there's like a borderline, isn't there?
Yeah,
How far you
ethically,
go
I
from
don't
it.
know how I square that. So how I can vilify parrotfish and then be like, well, this ranchu is the best thing ever. Don't know.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it?
It definitely is. What are you filming there, Josh?
Some LSDs, some thread fins, and some
Brighton as they are now.
yeah, and some mouth brooding severums.
Nice.
A few of I think the mouth brooders were in our soon to be our new PFK article as well, aren't they?
Yep.
In
Certainly
our
are.
little Blackwater biotope behind us. Got
Yes.
a nice breeding pair of these guys as well.
I've got to admit, for me, it's the Hemis.
Yeah, the Hemis are looking really nice at the minute, aren't
They
they?
just absolutely steal the show for me. So don't get me wrong, the panda's lovely. The geos are lovely. I've got a soft spot for the Mesonortas. I do
Yeah.
like those a lot. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for these guys. They're just such a soft cichlid. They're
Yeah.
just so laid back compared to others.
There is quite a few geographical variations with the rest of them, isn't there, as well?
Okay, yeah.
I've noticed there's a few like subspecies isn't there as well.
I remember I was speaking to Ivan McColgy, because obviously he's seen these all out in the wild. That's like his whole thing is just going out filming them. And he was explaining that they're also they're facultative cleaners as well. They actually clean parasites off of other fish.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. They're doing a bit of a public service.
Yeah.
Public spirited cichlids. I love them.
Dylan, hello Dylan. Dylan's one of our regulars. He does a lot of like breeding with like Elmunders and Corries and stuff as well. Yeah.
Okay.
He's trying to get some zebraplex on the board at the minute.
Okay. If he's had any notable successes, be very interested in having a chat.
Yeah, so we got our first question. Well, our first question on the live from Andrew. Hi, I am about to set up a 300 litre, 120 by 53 by 55 freshwater tropical tank. The tank will be heavily planted. I intend to keep some German blue rams. How many pairs would I keep in this size aquarium, and what is the quantity change if kept a mix of German blue rams and electric blue and blacks? So basically, I think he's kind of saying,
How many rams can you get away with?
yeah, how many rams can get aside in that tank?
I mean, if you want to see them at their best, just go for a pair. So yeah, if you wanted to have more in there, the first thing you're going to need to do is define territories. You have to actually mark out parts of the tank that the fish can claim as their own, as territories.
Yeah.
That also involves things like trying to break up the line of sight. You can potentially do that with heavy planting. The problem with that is an awful lot of the time, the fish that you're trying to break up the line of sight with, they use the line of sight barrier as the centre point of their territory. So it all goes a bit wrong. They start policing things in all directions.
Yeah, it comes a
so
bit
it all
like
comes a bit crashing
a
down.
bloodbath as well.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, a tank of that size, gorgeous size by the way for a pair of rams, I would just go for some absolute high-end German blue rams, and then just fill the rest out with dithers and smaller fish,
Yeah, definitely.
because that's going to look absolutely stunning. There's a lot to be said for small fish in big systems, because loads of people get all the way around, they get a big tank and they just want to cram the biggest possible fish they can in there,
Yeah.
and it's like it just gets boring very quickly.
Yeah, you run out of ideas as well.
Yeah, and the only other thing people can do is just cram in more big fish. A
Yeah.
tank of that size, a pair of rams are going to be an absolute paradise. I mean, maybe even keep certain catfish out of the equation. Because
Yeah.
when those rams start spawning, they're very likely to do so in a tank of that size. As the rams start spawning, anything like Corydoras that just don't understand territories,
Yeah.
they're just going to bumble in there and just get nailed. Just
Yeah.
get beaten up.
Well,
So-
Andrew's wrote in is an add-on question: is what dither fish would you recommend for the ram tank?
Okay, so with rams, generally you want to keep things a lot warmer in there than usual. So my choice for that would probably be cardinals.
Yeah, they're always a good choice, aren't they, for warmer tanks?
Yeah,
Rummy
they
nose as
really
well.
complement each other well. So yeah, I'd go cardinals in that one.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, even go the whole hog, just go proper South American, maybe get some sort of gastroplecus or carnigella, some hatchet fish, just knocking around on the surface. They'd be absolutely
You
cracking.
don't see much about hatchet fish. We've had them in the shop a few times, but there's very little people that keep hatchets.
Yeah, well, I
They're
think there's not that many suppliers that can handle them either, because they. I don't know if you've tried playing with them before. They're absolutely notorious for picking up white spot when they travel.
especially the marbles.
Marbles,
the marbles today.
yeah, they are chronic for it. So yeah, the hatchets come in, they flare up. A retailer's going to try that 2 or 3 times, and he's just going to give up.
Yeah.
When it's like it's just not worth their while. So yeah, if you can quarantine them properly, they're a wonderful fish. I know there's some good ones out there.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the silvers myself, just the classic silver hatchets.
Yeah, pretty.
Charming fish. And maybe a load of something like maybe even the unusual oak sinklers.
Yeah, like the zebra ones.
Zebrottos, yeah.
Got some here.
They can be very pleasant in there.
Yeah, we've got some questions off Dylan. 2 questions. He's put. He wants to know what your thoughts are on his attempt at breeding honey cob cats that he brought in. I should just up there.
Oh, these is.
Yeah. He brought 6 in.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Yeah, they're cracking.
And his second question is, I found having rams with my L046 plecos work well, as they stay out of each other's way, and the rams make the L046s more confident. I'm breeding them from the rams, and they are just fine. Yeah.
That's a really good choice, to be fair. Yeah. Rams, L46, Hypancistris zebra. The only catch, of course, is that A, you're going to get Hypancistris zebra.
Yeah.
B, you're going to pay for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're.
I mean, what's the going rate on those things now? 100 quid a head, 120 a head. What are they?
Yeah,
what are they at?
they're expensive now. I remember when they used to be like 80 quid.
Mate, I'm showing my age. The first lot I had, I think they were 24 quid each. This is when I was still based in Bristol.
Probably when you could get them wild as well, I suppose.
That's
at
what
least
it was.
in dribs and drabs.
Yeah,
anyway.
it was wild caught zebras, Hypancistris zebra. It was the Magnum Plec, and it was the one of the gold nuggets, and they're all going out for about that 24, 25 quid mark.
Yeah.
And I think largely it was a disaster because so few people knew how to feed them. Everyone just thought they were going to be algae cleaners. So yeah.
They did. David Nash, okay Dave. Again, he's one of our regulars, keeps a lot of Tanganicans. He's put, keen to hear your thoughts on water parameters. Do you chase the textbook figures, i.e. buffers, etc., or would you rather see a keeper aim to deliver simple, stable water parameters?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what the water parameter is. The thing I won't really budge on nowadays, and again, I used to be quite laissez-faire about this, is hardness, the KH and the GH. Those are really the key things that I've noted to determine whether a fish remains in good condition or not. So was it a Tanganyikan, did he say? Tanganyikan tank?
Yeah, he's got a lot of nice frontoses off us. He took some of the Black Widows.
Yep.
And the ones he's told me how to pronounce multiple times, but some of the more southern species from the lake.
I can't pronounce that. Yeah, I can't pronounce that, I'm afraid.
Dave's already told me how to pronounce it, but I'm terrible with Tanganyikan names.
Yeah, that's...
but yeah, he's got a lot of. He's very keen frontosa people, which is something quite different, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good choice, actually. You don't see many decent big fronties around anymore.
No. We did have some from a customer's tank not long ago that were a breakdown. They were like getting 12-inch, but they didn't last very long. They went straight to a customer at a restaurant in Liverpool. Yeah.
I mean, I think in response to this question, I think if you're in the kind of close ballpark to where you need to be. So if you're looking at Tanganyikans and you've got a hard alkaline tank on both fronts, hard GH and hard KH, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Things tend to be an issue more at the extremes. So, unless, speaking the other side of that, unless you're talking like really, really soft water fish. So I find that really soft water fish tend to deteriorate with KH and GH go a bit too high for those.
Yeah.
So things like chocolate gouramis, for example.
Yeah, let's start some like them tomorrow.
Yeah, spheric fish got to be really, really soft on those. And although I haven't had much of a play with them, what I know of the some of the more extreme African tetras, like the little jelly beans and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice,
they've
you just don't often see them.
very demanding. A lot of it's on a species by species basis, though, isn't it? And what are we at now? 34,000 species of fish, 35,000. Yeah. It's
A shop couldn't stop on there.
some are hard as nails, some are really, really delicate, just tied into evolutionary sense. They're just tied into a very specific environment. So
Yeah. We've got a question from Emma Lewis. Why are marines more of a nightmare than freshwater, even though it's only fish only?
why marine's more of a nightmare. It's just so much more water chemistry.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's so much less forgiving as well. So I mean, for example, where I am now, I mean, my water is it's both a bliss and a curse. I'm keeping fresh water. The water that's coming out of my tap, I'm based with Hazel Grove. It is the softest water I've ever worked with in my life. So it's coming out of my tap at a pH of 0 right now, and I have to actually buffer it back up. My pH is always slightly acidic, somewhere around 6.5 to 6.8. If I ever get as much as a flare up of a little bit of ammonia in there, nothing's going to notice. Because that pH is below 7, most of that ammonia is locked up as ammonium. Marine tank, you're going to be what, a pH of 8.1, 8.2, hardness through the roof, temperature's very, very high. Even the merest sniff of ammonia in there, it's just going to be in its toxic form. It's just going to be, you have so much ammonia as opposed to ammonium. But yeah, the fish is going to start struggling with that. So yeah, it's just water quality based, water chemistry based.
Yeah. We've got another one from Tracy. What do you think is an ideal size tank for a flower horn, if any size is an option?
Oh, now you've got me there, because being a hybridy fish, it's one that I've never kept them myself. And it's not one, I mean, maybe it's snobbery, it's not one I've paid that much attention to in the past. A single flower horn? I wouldn't know. Maybe 4 foot, but
We would
more in this.
we would usually recommend something along the lines of a 300 litre.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes
like
that sense.
Especially if it's a male, it's going to get big, it's going to be boisterous.
Yep.
It's going to, you do tend to see them commonly kept in bear tanks,
Yep.
like Oscars.
Yeah,
quite, easy to damage themselves as well.
I mean, with the hybridisation that's taking place, given that it is a bit of a Heinz 57 of species going on in a flower horn, is there even like a definitive adult size that they reach? I would imagine that some flower horn strains get much smaller than others.
Yeah, I
So
mean, they do short body flower horns, you know, it's a defect as
okay.
well.
Yeah, I'm sorry on that one. I can't really help you out on that one, because it's just not something that I've ever really dabbled with. So you're best off asking the guys at Finest rather than myself now.
We've got Emma again. Also, which would you pick? Paraffin-based or with benzazole products to treat fluke and wormers?
Uncanny. Absolutely uncanny. So I've just had this exact issue with my tank. So yeah, I set up my dream tank, my forever tank. I've got the Pethia in there, I've got the melon bulbs in there, I've got the Dulcinsia in there. Everything was going absolutely swimmingly, and then I started to get just a random death. And the thing was, you'll be able to see the fish in question in a future issue. The fish that was coming out, perfect. If you looked at it at face value, if I took it into a shop and said, what's wrong with that, why has it died? They would just say, this is a perfect fish. Colour was fine, no slime in the skin. It was just it was an absolute dilemma. So I put it down initially to, it's just one of those things. Maybe they've chased each other to exhaustion. Maybe it's bashed itself on the site, I don't know. Then another one went, and another one went. And it was all over the course of sort of 4 or 5 days between them, just one dropping off. And every single time they looked immaculate. So, my first thought was, okay, because it's barbs, I've got some kind of intestinal issue here. I've got some kind of intestinal flagella, or maybe I've got some sort of gill fluke going on, and it's just passing around from barb to barb and just slowly working its way through. So, one of them died. I opened it up just to be extra sure that I didn't have worms. So I had a look inside the gut. There was no sign of camelanus, there was no sign of tapeworms. All there was in there was just a milky, translucent gel. And I was like, okay, so we've got some sort of intestinal flagella here. I would treat those in exactly the same way I treat flukes. So the first thing I reached for was flubendazole. In this case, it was the NT Labs one. It's the NT Labs fluke and anti-fluke and wormer.
Yeah, anti-fluke and wormer.
Yeah, which is flubendazole. I did a dose of that. Then I actually followed up with a 4-course or a 4-dose course of chloramine T, which was another NT Labs. It's the anti-internal bacteria. Always had a good run with chloramine T. And then another final dose of the flubendazole, the first one, and that actually nailed it. So yeah, if I ever see anything like flukes, or if I suspect flukes, I'll always reach for flubendazole.
Yeah, we've got a question of Lee. Let me just see if it'll expand it. It's, can a female betta fish live with discus? I think that's meant to say.
Is it discus or is that discaritans? Either way, it's probably a no. Unfortunately.
Which seems short and sweet answer there.
Yeah, I can't think of anything disc that would work with betta. Yeah, no.
There are fish that I've personally found do best on their own bettas.
Really?
Yeah, like species only tanks, you know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Obviously, a lot of the fancy strains people keep with in community tanks, but I do find them a fish that don't like to be bothered. They like very slow-moving tanks. Very.
Yeah, I mean, yes, largely also depends what type of betta you're looking at. So, if you're looking at a wild type betta, then I'd be looking at something very specific, very leafy, lots of caves, lots of hiding spaces. If it was a fancy betta, I think the most important thing is that it's got to clear onto the surface so it can breathe. It doesn't have anything it can snag itself on. That's the key thing. I mean, yeah, the fancier the betta, the longer the fins, the more inclined I am to keep it away from anything else.
Yeah.
Because it just becomes a risk to itself.
We've got a question off Dave again. Speaking of products you personally use, what's your water test kit you recommend?
NT Labs. So I actually have 2 on the go because I've always had, it stems back from years ago when I had different test kits and they were giving me different readings. So I stuck with the ones I trust. I was really upset when Hagen stopped doing their test kit. I don't know if you remember those, Josh.
No.
Yeah, the Fluval. Is it Fluval? Yeah, they do a 4-way test kit: ammonia, nitrate, pH. It's actually really good, really easy to use. I then moved on to the API master test kit, and I've still got one of those to this day. So if I ever get a couple of readings from the NT
the
Labs,
classic API test kits.
the classic clear box test kit. Yeah, I love that. But now, the NT Labs, it's so easy to use, and it's quick, it's accurate, and I love the fact that their master kit does have GH and KH test in there as well.
Yeah, because they're common. I think one of our customers that wrote in beforehand, I was asking this, is they're very common water parameters that get missed.
It's KH and GH.
It's amazing, like the difference it makes to fish health.
Yeah, well, it's also amazing what difference it makes to the sustainability of the filter. So again, where I'm based, up in Hazel Grove, I do some weekend work in a local store there, and we've had this history recently of customers coming in, not understanding why the tanks are starting to go a bit wrong, they're starting to crash, and so straight away I'm like, let's have a look at your KH. They're bringing samples in, it's literally 0. They've got a KH of absolutely nothing. It's like, well, you've never thought of testing that, but your whole biological filtration is reliant on a certain degree of KH there as well. Without that, it just can't function properly. Yeah. So the whole thing is, it's sort of like the one, what would you call it? It's the one leg on which water chemistry is holding on to that people just don't seem to test for. And if it does fall away, everything else comes crashing down. And I think they look for solutions that aren't KH. Yeah. So KH is the big one.
Yeah, we have a next question. We've got a few lined up actually. The next question is by Steve. I keep hearing that people are losing fish after doing a water change and they're blaming the water companies. What's your thoughts? Also, do you think fish are less hardy than they were years ago?
Ooh, that is a great one. So,
especially the water company one, it's difficult to...
Well, again, so it varies from waterboard to waterboard. Now, I know for a fact that they've been having issues up in, it's somewhere up in Lancashire. I can't think for the life of me what the name of the region is. It's actually been doing the rounds across social media. People have been warning each other about it recently. They've been doing a load of works in the pipes in this region around Lancashire, and they've been flushing the pipes through. Now, as long as the water's potable, i.e. as long as you and I can drink it and not die, that's
not
all.
really a concern.
Yeah, that's all the water company has to worry about. But yeah, what they're flushing it through with, whether that has an effect on fish or not, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's not even a particularly new phenomenon. So for a long time, folks have been saying that they'll have a particular spell in a region whereby people are doing water changes and experiencing deaths. And it does seem that they're too tightly clustered just to be a coincidence. So I don't know whether there's anything in that. Do I think fish are hardier now or then? Do I think fish were hardier a few years ago? I mean, the selection was a lot more limited. If I'm going back 20, 30 years. But out of those fish, an awful lot of them, I have to admit, were absolutely bulletproof back then compared to today. I mean, point in case, one thinking of straight away would be dwarf gouramis.
Yeah, they get that horrible viral infection.
Yeah,
as well,
they get the dwarf gourami virus. But even some of the run-of-the-mill fish, so guppies, for a long time, I know they've been a bane of a lot of retailers, just kind of been riddled with tetrahymena. I don't know if it's a case of the fish are were hardier then. I think it's a case of some of the pathogens that affect them have just adapted over time. So I think there's a lot more sturdier things like tetrahymena that don't respond as well to medication as they did maybe 10, 15 years ago. So I certainly think there's something in it, but whether it's the fish, and again, of course, a lot of fish now are massively farmed. So it's all about quantity.
Yeah, it just takes a massive effect on the genetics, health of the fish.
Totally. I mean, there's a whole debate there on the sidelines about wild fish or farm fish. I mean, at least with wild fish, generally by the time they're of an adult size, the weak have already been naturally selected out. So those weaker fish would have been eaten. They would have had diseases, they would have gone. If they were in the luxury of a farm setting, where they're just getting like 3 meals a day, a dozen treatments tossed in every week, it's not the same selective pressures. So I think the whole landscape has shifted.
Right, so our next question is from Andrew, the same guy who did with the rams.
Yep.
How long would you say it would take for a stock tank to become stable enough to introduce the rams?
Oh, that's a great one. I don't know a lot of things about your tank. There's an awful lot of parameters. Excuse me, at play there. So, with regards to the maturation side of the filtration, I mean, the absolute, the golden gun at the moment is the Nitrico goop. That is just
it's been a really popular one for us.
It's outstanding, absolutely outstanding stuff. So, regards to filter maturation, that's going to have it going instantly. It's going to have it going within hours. Depends what you mean by maturation. I would personally keep the tank running for about 4 weeks. And I would start with something like the Tetris and the Nitrico goop. And I would just, depending what you've got in your mind's eye for how this tank's going to look, I would be interested in getting things like leaf litter in there. So getting a nice rich layer of botanicals on the base of that tank. Let them start to degrade, let them start to break down. And what you'll see on the back of that is you'll see all manner of life just starting to flourish. You'll get little ostracods down there, you'll get copepods, you'll see loads of microorganisms. Those things are going to be an absolute gold mine if your rams start to spawn in there. So as a first fry food, I mean, there's not much better than nature itself. But those botanicals will really help out. So probably 4 weeks running with the Tetris. Test it routinely. Again, if you're keeping rams and assuming you're going to have a slightly acidic, very soft water tank anyway, so I can't imagine ammonia being a problem. Nitrate is slightly more of an issue in acidic water. Just keep monitoring ammonium nitrite. As long as absolutely nothing fluctuates within those 4 weeks, yeah, you should be good to go.
Our next question is off Carol. What vegetables can I feed my fish? I've got tetras, mollies and catfish.
I've got a personal favourite on this one. And,
is it the good old courgette?
No, courgette's great. My absolute go-to, and so I even use this when I do. So I like to do my own frozen foods.
Yeah.
So I like to get the blender out. I like to throw in chunks of fish. I like to throw flag. I like to throw prawn. I like to throw vitamins. But my green of choice, and it has been for absolutely donkey's years. I can't remember who. I think it was a chap called Roman Znova years ago who put me onto it. It's dandelion leaves.
That's a new one. I've never heard that one.
Absolutely love dandelion leaves. So nutrient dense, absolutely packed with nutrients. So yeah, again, depending what you're feeding, if you've got soft raspy mouths, courgette is always a win. Sweet potato as well. I actually think my fish have eaten more sweet potato than I have.
Yeah,
so
sweet potato is a popular one for us at the shop.
Yeah, I buy it with the intention of eating it myself, and then 2 days later I just start slicing it up and throwing it as fish nets. So yeah, sweet potato is good. Courgette's good. Blanched spinach is okay. Just give it like just literally splash it in a colander with some water out of the kettle just to soften it up beforehand. But yeah, honestly, my absolute go-to is dandelion. Love it, absolutely love it.
So
and because I've got my own garden, and I know I'm not spraying anything out there, there's no pesticides.
So my next question was
exactly. So because I know my dandelions are safe, I'll be honest, I've got lazy neighbours either side of me. So the one guy, one side, they've got chickens, they're not spraying anything out there. The other guy's got kids and dogs, and he's just ultra nervous about any kind of chemical going in the garden. So I'm safe. I'm just buffered on either side. And yeah, I let the dandelions run riot, and then whip them out and blend them up into my frozen foods.
So this is a reply to your comment on the test kits by David. It's just a comment back, so it's good to hear. I've used API Master test kits for years, but recommended the NT Labs today. Looks good kit.
Honestly, they're both really, really good in their own right. I've got both. I've nothing against either. I would just say, from my perspective, the NT Labs is just that slightly shade easier to use. So, yeah.
Next question is from me is how to order online and can it be sent on the post? Your best bet is to message us on our Facebook page. We'll take a few more details off you about what you're after, and then that's probably the easiest way to order freshwater fish online. Alan Hopkins, I think he messaged him before.
Alan, tell you what, let's just mooch over this way a little bit, because I just want to grab my water
yeah.
before I park on this one. So I'm just going to run up and leave you for 5 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. So we'll answer your question, Alan, in a second.
I'm just going to hold the mic away from my
Multitasking.
Nobody needs to hear the sound of me chugging water, so bear with me.
So I'll read you Alan's question while we're waiting. So Alan's put, having worked in the fishery retail and attending clubs meeting, it seems apparent to me that fish keepers are becoming older and older with a real lack of youngsters coming through. I assume this is down to modern day technology and kids just want to play video games, which if there was a fish keeping simulator, I would imagine the kids will play it and enjoy it. What can you do to encourage new people to the hobby, particularly the youngsters?
Okay,
Quite
so
an intricate question, that.
Yeah, there's a fair few moving parts here, so we need to unpack a few things. So this has actually come up a lot, and I don't think it's a new phenomenon. So the first thing I have to say is the whole club scenes are generally, by and large, quite an old attendee scene. That's nothing new. So going back to my very early years, I'm thinking 12, 13, when I started going to fish clubs down in the southeast. I was the youngling, and it was exactly the same situation as the demographic now. It's just there were lots of there was lots of older guys there. I was pretty much the only kid, and again, as I've gone through the years, I've talked to various clubs, visited, joined various clubs. again, there's always a token one or two youngsters there. It's just not a thing I think people get into that much as kids. How do we get more people into it? How do we get more youngsters especially into it? Oh, that's a really good question. I know the guys over at Maidenhead have tried. They had a really concerted effort with their, what's it called? Fishkeeper Fry scheme.
Yes, that was it, yeah.
Fishkeeper Fry. Brilliant scheme, absolutely ingenious. And the whole idea was to make it accessible for youngsters to learn about fishkeeping. There was all manner of interaction, getting connected to schools, so people can interact with them. I think that young people are always more interested in something else that's more faddy. So when I was very young, all of my friends and I, to be fair, were all skateboarders. I was the only fishing person I think I knew in my entire school. I can't think of anyone else who was interested in tropical fish out of my entire year at school. And as time's moved on, as you say, they're just interested in phones now. How do we get them interested into it? I honestly don't know. I don't know how we get... the way to do it is to make it cool, or to make it interesting, or to make it novel. And in that respect, as much as I am an absolute... I can't stand most forms of social media, this is where I think things like Instagram and TikTok are making a few inroads, because there are just now kids scrolling that will just come across an interesting 15-second video about an axolotl or about a puffer fish or about a stingray, and they just get interested. And again, certainly when I'm working at this store, we get a lot of kids come through. So it's a very sort of family-oriented garden centre that the shop is built into. The kids that come in only know a few specific fish, and they're all tropes. They know axolotls, obviously, because that's a Minecraft thing. They're everywhere. They know puffer fish. Everyone knows Nemo and Dory.
They're all, as soon as people walk downstairs, it's Nemo.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. We just need to get more people promoting more interesting fish stuff on places like TikTok, and then we need to take the attention to them. They're not going to come to us and find it on their platforms.
Yeah.
Very good question, Aaron. Thank you very much for that.
We've got Ryan. Hi, what's your top tips to get some stubborn stir-by cories breeding? Water changes, etc. won't do it.
Watch the weather reports. A load of cory breeders, they've mentioned this repeatedly in articles over the years. You're looking for, I can't remember what the weather front is. Is it low pressure or is it high pressure? I can't remember.
Low and stormy, I think.
It's low and stormy, isn't it? So
Dylan, who breeds a lot of cories, he's always telling us about the incoming storms and stuff when he comes to his...
It's all about basically around storms. I think that's a low pressure thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you get a storm. Yeah, so the cory breeders, they literally keep an eye on weather reports. And what you're waiting for is that low pressure, stormy weather. And at that point, that's when you do your water change, refresh it with slightly softer, slightly more acidic water than you normally use. It's talking just like a couple of degrees difference in ours, because all you're trying to do is replicate rainfall and come inside that with a storm, which is one of their natural triggers to spawn. So yeah, watch the weather reports. Get on Met Office.
Emma's commented again. She put, thank you. Did you do a half water change before you did the second dose of flubentasol in? I originally thought it was treated with copper and then sorted all of that, a few dips and seeing loads of white discs, and was like, oops, don't worry, copper was out before I dosed. Gutted has lost two beautiful butterfly fish.
Oh, that's a shame. As a matter of course, after I've done any medication, unless it's something that does need to hold in the water, so if it's something like acroflavin, malachite, methylene that needs to actually stay in the water to be active, then yeah, I'll do a water change normally the following day. And I did, it's actually just shy of 50%. I did a big hearty water change on there, and then yeah, same with the chloramine. So I gave a dose of chloramine, following day, big hearty water change, same again, big next day, big hearty water change. So yeah, after treatment, I always try and do 50%. The other thing to also bear in mind, of course, is if you are whacking treatments into a tank, make sure you've got anything like ozone turned off, UVs turned off, get your copper out, your carbon out of there. Zeolite, I believe, can interact with some medications. So yeah, get out anything that's potentially, all kind of chemical filter media. Anything like poly filters, get those out before you start dosing, because they're just going to strip it out as soon as it goes in.
Yep. To Lewis, who's put any advice on breeding shrimps? I would guess it would kind of specify on what family of shrimp.
Well, I mean,
if it's a Manos, then it's going to be.
Mano, you've got no hope.
You'll be waiting a while.
Yeah, so Manos, yeah, generally it's just a case of you need access to the sea. So the young are flushed out downriver into salt water and then make their way back inland to fresh once they've matured a bit. So with the Manos, incredibly difficult. With the other freshwater shrimps,
yeah, like your Neurocaridina,
a lot. I mean, generally it's just I don't really know if anyone's had issues in actually breeding them.
Put them in and go.
Yeah, just leave them to it. Again, pack it out with leaf litter. Get some catappa leaves in there. Yeah, make sure the KH is adequate. I think it needs to be 4 or more.
Yeah.
Or is it 6 or more? I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, make sure the KH is ample. If it's not, to be fair, you'll see that when they start molting and dying anyway.
Yeah.
When they start failing their molts. But yeah, just feed them heartily. And keep an eye on planaria. Some planaria have been known to snatch the little shrimplets.
Yes.
I know Chris Lukout's got some really interesting photos. I think a bit of video on this. Yeah, hungry, ravenous little things.
Dylan's put, doing a water change, watching this, found my L306 trapping, and I am a youngish fish keeper, haha.
Good. Welcome to the hobby, we need more of you.
Tracy, any tips on moving fish from one house to another? 3-hour journey, how would you make this safe quickly and keep bacteria alive? Use goop and a fresh start, or try to maintain current filter bacteria.
Yeah, goop.
Wholesome.
Goop. I would just goop it myself. Honestly, it's just, since I started using goop, it has been an absolute life changer. It is remarkable. Check your water at the other end. So if you need to do a top up of water when you've moved the tank, make sure if you've moved to a soft water area that the KH is above 4 in the tank before you have the goop. Again, that's an important feature. In actual transit, I mean, 3 hours isn't really an issue. The trick is get some big bags in a poly box. And you want to have about 1/3 water, 2/3 air in the bags. If your fish shop will show you how to tie a bag so you can keep a little bit of air pressure in there, keep that bag taut, that'll certainly help out as well. Get some poly boxes. I mean, bear in mind that the fish that we get in the stores, they're coming from the Far East, they're coming from Colombia, they're coming from Miami, they're coming from Africa. They'll be in transit like 20 plus hours at a time before they get to us.
Yeah, packs with like 5-10 times the density of.
3 hours isn't really going to cause you any issues. There's not going to be a significant build-up of ammonia, but unless you've got like massive, messy fish, there's not going to be a significant amount of ammonia build-up in there. If you are really nervous and you want to give them some extra oxygenation while they're travelling, I picked up a cracking little USB-powered air pump the other day. I think it was like $5.99. It's just a USB port on the ends. It sounds like an Avro Lancaster coming into land. It's like a proper jet engine. But I tell you what, this tiny little thing, it's I don't know what's the size of. It's like half a sausage in size. Wiring one end, airline at the other, and it pumps out more air than any air pump I've ever had. I mean, falling short of coin blowers, this thing is just phenomenal. It's absolutely churning it out. So yeah, try and save as much water as you can from the existing tank. Save the filter media, keep it wet. Perhaps don't even necessarily keep it completely submerged. So wet media that's exposed to some air will still have oxygen on there available for the bacteria. So just don't dilly-dally. Make
Yeah.
the tank the last thing you pack up and move, and make it the first thing you unpack and put together when you arrive, and you'll be okay.
We've got Lewis, he's put, I have seen at our local fish club there are more people coming through in their 20s.
Nice.
And then we've got Dylan trying to get some people into the hobby by showing the hobby on my YouTube channel.
Bingo. That's what we need.
Yeah. And then Alan's put, thank you for the answer, I appreciate it. It was just a flying visit from me. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the live stream. And then Lewis also put, with the shrimp question, was Nero Caridina.
Yeah, leave them to it. Feed them up, give them some catappa leaves, leave them to it.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got a bit of KH in there, a bit of GH in there. Yeah, I don't think there's any particular trick to it. Most of the shrimp breeders I know just throw them in and yeah, just keep harvesting once they pop them out.
And then we've got Emily Watson, who's put, is there such thing as a yellow real shrimp? As whenever I order them, they always orange coloured. She must be
yellow
like,
real shrimp, really shrimp.
yeah.
Can't say I've ever seen one.
I've only seen the red ones, me personally.
The guy I'd probably speak to on that one would be Gabor Horvath. Over in South Wales, he does an awful lot of shrimp breeding, and I don't think I've met anyone more knowledgeable on all the different types. So yeah, I mean, for that one, drop me an email, and what I'll do is I'll get a message over to Gabor and find out on that one.
We've got your friend Max.
Max. I don't have any friends called Max.
Max Pedley.
I don't know a Max Pedley.
Flat him out.
Flat him out.
On to more other questions. Lewis is putting, in my tank, when I scrub the glass, the brown algae starts floating in bits. How do I get rid of it?
I let mine settle. So I'm guessing you're talking about the diatomaceous brown algae that you generally get in like newer tanks. Yeah, it's horrible stuff. So when I've got newer tanks, first thing I do is I turn off the filter of all things when I'm about to clean it. Wipe off the glass, wipe off the stones. Sometimes it can be stubborn because it gets into cracks as well. So I go at it with an old toothbrush,
Yeah.
get it out, literally give it 15-20 minutes, just let it settle on the top of the substrate, and then using just a piece of hose, not the actual gravel cleaner attachment, but just a piece of hose, start siphoning out and keep the hose about 1.5–2 centimetres above the surface of the substrate, and you'll just see where it's light, that brown will get lifted off.
Yeah,
so you're just going to let it settle before you try and get it back out. And once you've skimmed it all out, just get the filter back on.
Yeah, Tracy has put thank you to her question about the journey.
My pleasure.
Ryan, really enjoyed the live stream, guys. Thanks.
Aww.
Emily, wicked. Thanks, guys. You keep. Thank you. I will keep searching and I'll email you.
Top job.
Ryan's put, out of interest, what fish are you currently keeping, Neil? I don't know.
Is that for me?
Nathan?
Do you know
I don't know if that's the first time you've been called Neil.
I know a couple of Neils, and they're all better people than I am, so I'm going to run with that. I'm going to take that as a compliment. What have I got on the go at the minute? I have, at this moment in time, I've got 3 tanks on the go. I've also got 2 that are just sat waiting. The 3 tanks I have on the go, I've got a really cool fish. I need to talk about them. I've got 1 cube, which is a 40, I think it's about 40 centimetre cube. It's actually one that's made by Giles Barlow. I don't know if anyone on the stream knows Giles Barlow. Barlow's Aquatics Trading. He does an awful lot of good tanks for people in the industry. So he does a lot of shop tanks, a lot of store tanks.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his work all the time.
Yeah, so I got one of his cube tanks. So I think it's 40 by 40 by probably 40 high as well. And it's got an inbuilt Hamburg matte filter. It's got the HMF.
Yeah, I've seen them. They're quite
awesome.
quite cool, aren't they?
Absolutely awesome. So it's like a paint. I'll have to get a picture and I'll put it on the PFK Facebook in the next couple of days. Excuse me. So yeah, it's a pane of glass. It has this huge block of filter foam, and it's just powered by an air pump. It's just like an overflow. It's like an old undergravel uplift system that just pulls through this foam. Anyway, about the fish. So there's that corner tank. In there, I've got cherry barbs. Probably the reddest cherry barbs you'll ever see. I mean, absolutely love my cherry barbs. they're the ones that set me off down this barb path a few months ago.
Yeah, we've got some really nice ones on display, cherries.
Yeah, lovely, absolutely lovely.
Should we try and take a look while you have a look?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm absolutely fond of that. And I've been feeding them heavily on red plankton or calanus, which is it's a marine copepod. I think it's copepod, or is it an isopod? It's a pod.
It's just broad spectrum, name it.
Oh yeah,
He says he's got some nice cherry barbs.
So yeah, so I've got lovely cherry barbs, and they're feeding on this calanus, and it's really brought out the red. The problem I've got, I think I've got like one female and a dozen males, so it's like I kind of wanted to spawn them, wanted to breed them, so that's completely gone out the window now. In that same tank, there's a sandy substrate in there. There's a little bit of leaf litter. There's far too many plants because I ordered too many plants a while ago and I'm scared to throw them out. But in the bottom, I've got these 3 amazing catfish. Acasis prashadi,
Oh, there
I
you
think
go.
it's pronounced.
There's your cherry barbs.
Oh yeah, that's lovely. Oh, what a darling. Mine's redder, but mine's way redder than that. Acasis prashadi. So it's stinging catfish. It's a venomous little catfish from, is it India? Is it Bangladesh? I can't remember. So I've gone completely blank as to where it's from. It's like an Asian version of a banjo catfish. So it's sort of like, it buries itself a lot. It's got really good presence. They're probably about, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 centimetres in length. They're big, they're thick set. They just look like that kind of sharky catfish look that everyone craves. And they're absolute gluttons for bloodworm, tubifex, California blackworm. So yeah, every few days I just have myself a little guilty pleasure, get a bag of live food, toss it in over one side and just watch the Acasis descend. That's one tank. I've got another tank which is an Oasi Scapeline 60, the 70 litre tank. No fish in that at the minute. There will be harlequins in it at some point. But it's a planted aquascape. And the reason I've not got fish in there at the minute is because I'm kind of experimenting by going absolutely ballistic with the fertilisers. So I'm whacking in way more nutrients than I need to be whacking in there. I'm also whacking in way more glutaraldehyde, the liquid carbon, the easy carbo in there. The carbon dioxide injection is more like an air stone going off than it is a CO2 diffuser. It's, I don't know, 5-6 bubbles a second, it's properly churning out. So it's an acidic hell for fish. Plants are loving it. Plants are having a great time in there. And then I've got my, it's a bit of a reveal actually for a tank that's coming out in the issue I'm currently working on. I've got my Western Ghats biotope, which I absolutely adore. It's actually a setnoid, or Naran barbs. I've got melon barbs, Helidaria fasciata, and I've got filament barbs, Dawkinsia filamentosus. That's all I'm keeping in there. I considered some loaches, don't want them. The tank is just, yeah, I'm looking forward to going home and seeing it, to be honest. It's my pride and joy. So yeah, that's what I've got at the moment. I also want to get some fancy goldfish this year. I've got a real soft spot for ranchu. So yeah,
as you said that, a ranchu swims into the camera lens.
How uncanny is that? So yeah, I've got a real soft spot for ranchu, and I'd like to get some of those in some kind of outside pond. A big squared off, sort of 5 foot by a couple of feet deep by a couple of feet wide. And then we've got another tank which my other half, because my other half, she's also a fish keeper. She used to manage one of the stores. She used to manage one of the Maidenhead stores. And this last tank will be her indulgence. We're going to get a load of Megalechis, the hoplocats, hoplosternums. And I think that will see me through for the time being. Right up until I get bored of the aquascape, I'll gut it out. That's probably going to happen in about 6 weeks. It always happens. And then I'll do something else in there. Actually open to suggestions as to what to do in there.
Well, I've just read a few down towards the bottom of the comments, and there's a few suggestions for you to keep.
Excellent.
MS, but I'm trying to think of more questions. Max has put, what is the pros and cons of taxonomic names? Should you try to use one or the other? Which name should you use? I actually seen this on your Practical Fishkeeping Facebook page.
Taxonomic names. So, scientific names. I don't really call Latin names, which are technically not, because again, all sorts of different languages in a scientific name. So yeah, there's Latin, there's Greek, there's even Japanese.
I've never even seen a Japanese.
Have you not?
No.
Yasuhi Kotakia. Used to be, well, it's now Ambastere, isn't it? Ambastere Sid the monkey,
Yeah.
which is the chain loach, the dwarf chain loach. Yeah, it was Yasuhi Kotakia, after Yasuhi Kotaki. So yeah. Anyway, we've digressed. Stores, I think, should have the scientific names should be the priority, because it's just the golden standard. We all know where we stand with a scientific name.
Yeah, we do.
Right up until Maurice Cotelat decides to change them all and revise them all, and then they don't make sense anymore.
I'm always getting people, we write the scientific names on our labels. Like,
Exactly. And I mean,
I'm always getting people saying, that's changed now.
Yeah. And will you notice that even the likes of Fishbase just can't keep up. So a lot of the really, I mean, the information on most websites is still really, really good, but some are slipping because they just can't keep on top of the taxonomic name changes. But yeah, scientific names are, to me, the most important because that is just the standard canon.
Yeah.
And then common names underneath that, because people do still work in common names. But yeah, I mean, in the same way that we have measurement standards in like the meter stick, we should have a taxonomic standard, and that should always be the scientific name, so there's no confusion. There's plenty of fish that have the same common name, which are completely different. Leaf fish.
Yeah.
So which one? Indian, African, South American? Which one is it? Yeah, is it Polyacanthus or is it Anandus? Just saying leaf fish doesn't give you anything.
There's a few in there like that. Ryan's put, sorry for the typo, of course I meant Nathan, not Neil.
Wait, no, I'm an honorary Neil now. I'm keeping that. I'm going to Depot this evening.
Lewis has put, really enjoy the stream, need to get up and nip up to the shop soon. Thinking of possibly getting a Limia shovel nose. What are compatible with them, and have you ever kept them, and what they're like to keep?
Run that one by me again, sorry.
Limia shovel nose?
Oh, I screwed right up with these years ago. So yeah, I was fresh-faced. I was maybe 13. This was when my bedroom was. There was more water than air in my bedroom. I think I had, was it 9 tanks?
I love the description of
that.
that.
There were tanks balancing on tanks, or tanks everywhere. And I had one tank, which was a bit of a community setup. I can't remember half the things that were in there, but it was an absolute, by today's standards, it was an absolute calamity. And then, yeah, I fell in love with, as they all were, it was the Limia shovel nose. I've completely forgotten the scientific name of it. Is it Sorobin? No, it's not Sorobin. No, it is Sorobin. It was Sorobin Lima. I fell in love with one. It was about 3 inches long. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. I stuck it into the community. It promptly chowed its way through pretty much every other tank resident in there. Started off on river shrimp, just ended up eating everything. If I had the chance to do one now, I'd get a huge tank, probably at least 6x2x2, likely bigger than that. And I would do a nice sandy area, but I'd have some really good upright rushes and grasses, because those guys, I don't know if you've ever seen them in the wild, certainly when they're young, they sort of headstand. They go head down and tail up. And they're just going amongst grasses and just congregating there. I think that'd be a really cool tank to set up.
Yeah.
Love them. I absolutely love those fish to bits. But yeah, they will get a fair size. They've got a surprisingly big mouth, and they've got a surprisingly stretchy gut, so they can get an awful lot in there.
After that, we've got Michelle. She's put, so when is Nathan getting an axolotl with
Michelle,
a winky face as well?
I'll make you a deal when other people can pronounce the name right, because it's not pronounced axolotl.
Have I pronounced it wrong?
Are you calling it an axolotl?
Axolotl, yeah.
It's not an axolotl. That's what we call it here. Axolotl is not as pronounced.
Do you know what? I think someone's told me how to pronounce it once before. I can't remember.
You have a go at it. I'll laugh at you. What do you think it might be? I'll have a good laugh at your expense, and then I'll correct you in my tender, loving ways that I do.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I won't run with that one.
It's like so many of these Mexican and that whole American region.
I was going to do in the whole accent and everything then, but
It's so yeah, pronunciation according to the indigeni of the region, the indigenous peoples, is Arshamot. So that's actually pronounced.
you would think there's an S in there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Arshamot. So X, well, it's like Shingu River.
Yeah, that's
Everyone calls
true.
it Zingu.
Yeah, no one pronounces the Z, do they?
Zingu. So no, it's Shingu. And yeah, Axolotl is Arshamot. It's like with sauces, everyone gets Chipotle wrong. Chipotle sauce. So no, Chipotle. Completely different. You're getting the pronunciation all wrong.
Ryan's put your tank sounds special, mate. With a little smiley face.
The barb tank, you're going to love it. It's coming up. I've just finished taking the photos. I've just finished writing about it. I love it. I need to take a load of video of it as well for posterity because it's just a gorgeous thing. The only thing I do need for it, now I've got this this intestinal flagella problem out of the way. Now I've got this this slow creeping death out of the way. I want to get some more pepia. I need to get some more setnoids in there because they are hands down the single best barb I've ever come across. Perfect fish.
Emily's put, is it true Ian Fuller is changing all the cory species names? That's a very controversial question.
Let's blame Ian for changing all the cory. Yeah, I was talking to someone about this earlier. It's not Ian.
I think he's known for naming them to start
Ian
with.
Ian will be able to tell you exactly what's going on. And I'm pretty sure Ian is instrumental in helping out the taxonomists in doing the reclassifications. Yeah, there's loads. There's so Brochus is coming back, Aspidoris is there,
I've only just got used to Brochus being cories.
Yeah, Brochus went, now it's going to be back again. You've got, I don't want to commit to it, but I think Microcorridorus, I could be wrong now.
Is that like the
Gastrodermis.
Aspidora species? Or is that new?
Is it?
The Aspidora.
No, Aspidoris has always been there. Is it Osteogaster? Is that one? Or did I just invent that? I don't know. But yeah, there's loads of lineages. They're all being split up. So be prepared to be frustrated learning all the different Corridorus, no longer Corridorus names, because it's going to absolutely bug the hell out of me.
We've got Jill. What causes skinny disease in clown roach, and how to avoid it?
Again, I think a lot of it's intestinal flagellates, isn't it? I think it's who did some work on this? It came up on one of the loach forums. Someone's doing some work on this. I could swear blind that when they did the gut analyses of skinny disease clown loach, they found a certain percentage had hexamita or spironuclear, some sort of hexamatiasis, and some had how's it pronounced? Is it? Oh, the name's completely evaded me. It begins with CR.
You'll remember it if you walk out.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things. So anyway, there's one of these two. I'm pretty sure they're flagellated protozoans that get in there. How to deal with it? Probably the same way I dealt with my Pethia, to be honest. Flibendazole to start. Follow up with a course of chloramine T. So in real terms, flibendazole is the NT Labs anti-fluke wormer. Follow up with the anti-internal bacteria. Do maybe a 4-day or a full course of 4 doses of that, and then follow up again with 1 dose of flibendazole. Excuse me, and the whole time just keep making sure they're getting loads and loads of food. I don't even think half the skinny disease cases are an actual disease. I think people just underestimate how fast the clown loach metabolism is. They're just not getting enough chance. It's one of those fish like Anthias, you just need to be there feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding.
And kind of going off the clown watch thing as well, like what I tend to find is with clown watch, to avoid the white spot thing, people keep them at higher temperatures.
Yep.
And they don't realise the metabolism is going to massively go up.
So yeah, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul effectively. You just,
I'll answer the last one just dead quick because it's just dead easy for me to answer. Is Andrew for us. Will you be posting the video on your Facebook page for the Q&A need to dash off? We will do. It will be uploaded. Back to everyone else's question. Michelle put, haha, I was just kidding, I know how he feels about them.
Yeah.
And then Alan's Dylan.
It's actually all the worse because my other half, she's got this big fluffy stuffed axolotl on the sofa, and every time I come in, I just want to drop kick that thing out the window. Can't stand it.
And then Dylan's put, don't even get me started on the whole Corrie change name. Andrew's put, thanks for answering my question. Emma's put, do you have to quarantine a cleaner ass? I'm going on to marine there.
On to marine. I mean, in an ideal world, you quarantine everything. That's where I just screwed up. And I've done it a few times in the past now, where I've been overconfident with the quality of fish. And it is slightly different with marines. Part of the problem with marines, of course, is if you're going to quarantine them, you want the quarantine tank to be as good quality water or better than the actual tank they're going to be housed into. By definition, most people's vision of a quarantine tank is something small, and a smaller tank is just going to be
especially if it's like a cleaner ass that's really active.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know there's a bit of a debate going on with the Americans on this one. A lot of American marine aquarists are like, is quarantine doing more harm than good when it comes to fish? And I think there is some mileage in that. I mean, if the cleaner ass is looking clean and healthy, then, and if you know your own conditions in your tank are really good, then, I mean, the worst case scenario, what you're going to introduce cryptocarion. Yeah, it's always going to be a gamble. Like I say, the only catch with the marine quarantine is it does need to be as good as the eventual tank they're going into, which sort of kind of then defeats the object, because you need a tank that's basically the same size and quality as your main tank, so it just becomes a bit unsustainable. So, in an ideal world, yes. Pragmatically, no.
We've also got thank you off Julie. Emma Lewis, me
My
too.
pleasure.
Lewis, I am sure people who make up the Latin names and change them because they're bored.
Oh no, there's an awful lot of ego involved as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to get tied down with the politics, but oh my god. Yeah, I swear, if you want to see people fight, put two taxonomists in a room that are covering the same fish and just watch them batter each other.
David has put, any brands you particularly like, dislike, and have you any brands surprisingly?
How many brands surprised me, positively or negatively, recently?
Yeah.
Who do I like? Some big brands I don't like, to be honest. Most brands have a strong product in some region. Even stuff like the Me Too flake foods and stuff. I mean, most of the time that's being made by a reputable manufacturer. I'm not going to name names because they really get the hump with it like this. But yeah, I know that certain own brand, inverted commas, own brand foods that end up in shops are actually just slight variations on a really well-known branded food. So at the minute, I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a little bit of an NT Labs fanboy. I think they've really grabbed the bull by the horns the last few years. It's one of those companies that was just sort of, there's always a bit on the sidelines for me. I don't know how it was for you, Josh, but it was always just a little bit left to centre, kind of out of the way, NT Labs.
Yeah, but recently
it's just like,
I was going to say recently.
They're actually pumping out some really good stuff. So yeah, I like NT Labs.
Yeah, in terms of food, they do the Pro F range.
Yeah. That said, I mean, so my personal choice of flake food, my dry food, it's going to get so many people seething. It's going to get so many people angry. But sort of, I love aquarium. Aquarium.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's my absolute go-to. The consistency. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I love that food. I've dallied with many things over the years. I used to be an absolute fanboy of Tetra Crisps as well, but that was when I had slightly more substantial fish. Just better at hanging on to nutrients. Hardware wise, Aqua L. Aqua L's been a bit of an up and comer the last few years.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Got a lot of love for Aqua L at the minute, especially things like their Hypermax canister filters.
Yeah, they have a new range of externals.
They got some really good lighting, very affordable.
Yeah, because that's one thing I noticed about Aquil is the affordability as it is a brand is quite good.
I'll go be honest, I think it's like a fish keeper's industry or a fish keeper's business, because the guys that are there very clearly know what fish keepers want. Even their like simple filters, is it called the Aqua Easy or something?
I think so, yeah.
They're
not Aquil is a brand that we can get hold of, but not heavily stocked too much into as a shop.
I think it's called the ASAP filter, a little inverted, just turns old filters on its head a bit. So the pump's at the bottom, sucks in the water, then passes it through filter foam and out the top. Genius little contraption, really easy to use. Yeah, it's just like the next step up from the sponge filter. Anyone else that's particularly jumping out at me? I mean, I've never had any issues with the classics. Tetra's always been very good.
Regarding food, some of my favourites are Fish Science and Vitalis.
Fish Science is brilliant. Yeah. I've been having a lot of fun with the. It's not my standard, but I'm having a lot of fun with the fluval bug bites. They go down quite well. If I've got bigger fish on the go, I like the Vitalis pellets.
Yeah, they're always a good one.
I like the fact that they're kind of sticky, you can clump them together.
Yeah, things like the greasers are good as well, I found.
My own case, I mean, the thing is, I make a lot of my own food as well, and I feed an awful lot of frozen and live food. I've got good access, I literally got a store like 20 minutes walk from my house that always has good live food in there. So yeah, I frequently go there for it. I mean, I don't know any brands I don't like. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Has anything given me a bit of a disaster in recent years? I know, I mean, for the sake of filling the gap, I'd say the only guys that have probably slowed down a little bit in recent years, I thought maybe Eheim, simply because they were at the time the best of the best of the best of the best. It was just like Bentley meets Mercedes-Benz.
We've had a lot of Eheim interaction recently, and apparently they're like really pushing forward, rebranding the whole thing. They're going very heavily down the whole making it modern, Wi-Fi controllable stuff. From what we were being told, they're kind of giving it a bit of an overhaul.
It's overdue. They were, like I say, they were like the Bentley of their day.
Yeah.
And then I think they lost a lot of market share to. I think they probably lost it to Oazi, another brilliant company. If you want glassware, Oazi is my go-to, and Oazi filters.
The Biomaster.
The Biomaster. And the Biomaster, is it the Therm?
Yeah, with the built-in heater.
Built-in heater. Absolutely superb. I was really sketchy about using those at first because, historically speaking, filters with heaters in, they either leak if they try to do like an actual heater stat, which is one of the glass heater stats pushed in with a seal. They always leak top back in the big. And if they've got an actual coil at the bottom, no, I've never trusted those. So yeah, Oazi. I don't know why I didn't think of Oazi sooner. Really, really good products. Superb products, in fact. I've still got love for Evolution Aquatanks. So, yeah.
On to some of our next ones. Lewis, I've been using NT Lab stuff for years, and I have a pond love for their products. Mm-hmm. Do you not rate Tetra for the pond stuff though?
No, it's still really good. Tetra Pond Foods.
It's very classic, hasn't it? It's been around forever and a day.
So yeah, I mean, again, it sells itself. It's one of those products that on the run up to and out of winter, you'll just see everyone just picking up the wheat germ. It's just such a well-known and a well-balanced product. So yeah, and there's a lot of good science behind the Tetra range. It was what's his name? David Paul, who now does Fish Science. He was the brains behind all a load of the Tetra foods. So it's all well-crafted stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got a lot of time for it. What else have we got?
We've got Nathan. What region are your favourite fish from? Sorry, Ryan, to Nathan.
Okay.
I've always typically been drawn to South American species.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are, aren't they?
Yeah.
South America is like the predominantly heavy.
Yeah, do you know what? It's because I think they dominate the stores as well.
Yeah.
If you think about what stores carry, I mean, we can do a quick tally up here, and I bet your tetras outnumber your barbs 5 to 10 to 1.
Yeah, tenfold.
Easily,
Yeah.
easily. Personally, I've got a real love. I don't even have one set up at the moment. I've got a real ongoing love for African tanks. Uncanny, you're doing some little Distichodus, isn't it?
Yeah. You're West African now. You're lakes, rift lakes, or
that's it's West African, and it's Central and Western, and that's been spurred in part by the dealings I've been having with Michael Cageman. I don't know if I've pronounced his name correctly. I don't mean to do him any justice.
French fellow.
He's Dutch. The Dutch guy who seems to spend more time in Cameroon, and that neck of the woods than he does back in his homeland. And he released a couple of books. He did the freshwater fishes of Cameroon. He did,
That's a relatively new book.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a phenomenal piece of work as well. But yeah, it's just down to the event. Possibly it's that exclusivity thing because they're just not readily available. But I love the Distichodals or Disticodi, Dontine, whatever they call them now. I love the African tetras. I love the little Elastopentersius. I love things like the little jelly bean tetras. Is it Adonis something Adonis? I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, I think it's probably Africa at the moment. I think it's probably West Africa or Central Africa. That's really, but South American has always been my go-to because it's readily available and it's kind of easy to do. It's just sandy substrate, whacking a load of leaflets up, a few frondly plants, get a load of tetras, a few dwarf cichlids, job done.
Yeah, so we've got Lewis. He's just said that I use JBL Foods for pond season. He likes them. He just said, really enjoyed the stream. Thank you for answering my questions. Got to go. So we're down to our last couple of questions now.
Yep.
So Ryan's put, Nathan, was the best resources to get ideas to build a fish shed / room, finding it daunting to research online?
Right. This is where the fish clubs come in. Find a fish club, join it. I guarantee you there'll be members of that fish club that have got their own fish house.
I think 80% of them probably have,
they
haven't they?
will talk your ear off. They will happily tell you everything that they've ever known about setting up a fish house. They'll tell you about king span, they'll tell you about waterproofing, they'll tell you about bottom drains. It is a labour of love, I have to admit. I mean, Gabor, again, speak to Gabor Horvath down in South Wales. He's done the most amazing, it's like an eco-friendly fish house that he's made. So even things like his drainage, where he's getting water out of the tanks and just flushing it away, that goes straight out into like a weird trellisy plant system outside where he's got loads of herbs and salads growing. Just wastes nothing, absolutely wastes nothing. And then even the heat, where the heat's extracted from it, that blows into like a separate little nursery area where you've got plants growing in it. Yeah. Fish clubs, honestly, fish clubs are your best resource in this one, and get chatting to the guys there. They will likely have actual documented recordings of their builds, like every step they've done.
We're on to Mike, who's put good fish and plants for a Congo biotope suitable for a Mabuna puffer.
Mabu puffer. What was the question? Wood and plants, was that?
Fish and plants
Fish and plants.
for a Congo biotope.
Well, plants-wise, I mean, we haven't got the best range down there that's readily available. Anubias are the classic, obviously. Loads of those different Anubias. Bulbitis, an African classic. Excuse me. Crinums. So I'm guessing it's going to be a big tank, and you want to take up a lot of it because obviously Mabus get huge. So you're going to need big plants to fill in a lot of big space. Crinum calamastrata.
Yeah.
Superb plant. Sort of like an onion bulb of a thing. Always reminds me of Aponogeton. Just gets really big, really rich, dense thick green. Have we said ball biters? I said ball biters, haven't I? Said ball biters.
We touched on this a little bit, didn't we, with the active bites that we're doing for the May?
Yes. There's a serrata film, I believe, down there. As for tank baits, I mean, basically it's anything that can carve itself against that beak. Now, I've never known baboos to be particularly aggressive, but the problem is they have that potential. It's like a sort of a really passive guy with a handgun. It's like, he's always been good to me, but he's still got the handgun. Yeah. I'm a little bit wary about that. With baboos, it's like, there's a lovely fish, but he's still got that beak at the front. And that can like tear straight through my fingernails. I mean, I've seen them in communities before with other similarly sized fish, and it's gotten just fine with a range of cichlids.
I have seen them with the big eels and stuff like that.
Eels.
Grown like eels.
If you can get some of the African eels, that'd be a good choice. And beyond that, really, any of the proper, fast, big-bodied kerosins for the region. So things like we mentioned earlier, the Bricum elestes, the Mungi pinnis.
Yeah, because you've got some big
adult
ones.
versions of those.
These are like good examples.
Yeah, they're going to get a bit bigger than that yet, but they'd be good. Maybe the biggest of the Phenacocramus. It's always that danger though. If they're going to fit in the mouth, one day it might just get the hump and just spin around.
It's a typical fish shop question. That
is. It may well have a nibble. It's also going to depend largely on the personality of the baboo puffer. Again, puffers, some are docile as anything. Some, give them a beak and they're going to use it.
We'll just answer a few questions that got written into us to round it up.
Yep.
We'll round off in a couple of minutes. So we've got, outside of ammonia nitrite pH, what do you think is the next most important test?
Yeah, we covered that before, didn't we? KH.
Yeah.
I think KH is the hidden test that no one does. And like I mentioned before, there's an awful lot resting on that KH test. And if it becomes too low, things can start to go downhill. So KH, I think, is the one there.
Yeah. Couple more. What made you become an editor?
Well, I think it was just progress. It was just, some would call it fate. It was just a case of waiting in line. I actually never wanted to become an editor. A little known fact, so when the position originally came up, I kind of fought tooth and nail against being an editor. Didn't want it. I was really happy just being a writer. So my love is for writing. Absolutely love the written work. The written word. Imagine me getting that one wrong. I love the written word, and I was really, really happy. Other guys had moved on. We were editorless. I held out for a long time, hoping that we were just going to get a guest editor come in, drop in to take under the radar. Yeah, just as someone to drop in above me, maybe a career editor from elsewhere who's just going to let me carry on doing my thing of writing. But eventually it fell into my lap, and I couldn't resist it anymore. So I went into the editorial role. But I've always loved to write. Yeah.
One of our last questions was, what are your thoughts on what you would like to see in aquarium stores?
What would I like to see in aquarium stores? Now that, what a curveball that is. I don't want to brand drop, but work in decent biological supplements.
Yeah.
We know the company. I've already dropped it too many times. I'm not going to say it again. I mean, information's very good, and I have to admit, I think I'm going to name drop another company. I think Maidenhead are very much on the right track with the amount of information they're getting onto labels, especially with the use of QR codes as well.
They do a lot on the website, don't they?
Yeah, I think QR codes and a quality database of information saves everyone's time. If everything you need to know about a fish can just be got on your phone, and also free Wi-Fi in stores. Because it all comes crashing down. All these QR codes and everything are great, unless you're somewhere like I am all the time, where there's no damn signal. So free Wi-Fi, QR codes and a data bank. I think that would be a very important one. I'd also like to see this is more a personal one. I'd also like to see more people focusing on the fish that made them become retailers in the first place. Okay, so I see a lot of stores, because I have seen a lot of stores over the years. I've visited every county in the country. I've been everywhere, just seeing stores. And there's an awful lot where they're quite apathetic, and it's just, I get the feeling straight away, like, you're not enjoying what you're doing. You're not enjoying what you're doing here at all. And then I look at the selection, and these are guys that were hobbyists. They were maybe discus fanatics, or they were Malawi fanatics. But now they've just got a very generic store of guppies, wrasses, mollies, tiger bobs, neons, and they're not happy with it. And I'm just thinking, go back to what you loved. Go back to what made you you, and focus on that. There's plenty of stores out there doing guppies and neons. We don't really need many more. Okay, that's a niche that's come and filled. But what I'd love to see is people just embracing their passions and just going for the fish. If I set up a store right now, oh God, it probably would be barbs. Because that's just it would just be a barb-heavy store.
All the Indian shippers would love you.
Yeah, I'll be able to wear, and the Africans. A lot of African barbs as well coming through as well, remember? Yeah, I think that's what I'd like to see, is people actually playing to their passion, as opposed to always feeling they have to chase the bottom line. Because it can sometimes be a race to the bottom. You see, good stores become very bland stores on fish choice wise, then they become mediocre stores on fish choice wise, and it's just downhill from there. So you've got 20 stores in your town that are all doing platters.
Bread and butter stuff.
It doesn't matter, If you've got one store in that town of 20 stores that's got the best damn Tanganyika selection you've ever seen, and you're in an area with really hard water, say down in the southeast of England, run with that. Absolutely run with that. That's what people want.
Yeah, so we'll round up with our last question on the live. Is your favourite public aquarium?
My favourite public aquarium. So I used to work in public aquarium. So my favourite, of course, is the one I worked at, but with rose-tinted glasses, as it was then at that time. So we're going back to the 90s. That was Hastings Sea Life back in its day. Since then, do you know what? I've been really. I could probably pinpoint more that I don't like than public aquarium that I do like now. There's an awful lot that I go to, because again, it's a bit of a busman's tour, I know, but I will visit public aquaria if I'm out on holiday somewhere. They guilt trip me. I feel bad from the moment I've gone in. From the moment I walk in through that door, they're making such a hard sell about the conservation side of things and how humans, anthropic action is destroying the oceans. There'll be more signs up telling me about how much damage a plastic bag does to the sea than there is information about the fish. I come away depressed as hell. Absolutely depressed as hell. I come out there thinking,
zoos are going
I'm just going to go and noose myself. This is the best thing I can do for the oceans, is just, just go and dig myself a hole in the garden and bury myself. But the one public aquarium I love, largely because I get to go behind the scenes and I get to see all the stuff going on back there, would be the aquarium at Bolton Museum. Pete Liptrott's organ. It's not a big organ, but it's very precious. You go down there. He's a fish keeper's fish keeper. He's assembled a lot of really cool fish over the years for his displays in there. He's got some of the nicest Nicaraguan cichlids I've seen in a long time. It's just odds and sods, just curious catfish. And then if you do ever get the chance to go out back and have a look at his actual breeding and conservation tanks, it's an experience. So I love it. Absolutely love that place. And again, I go in and I don't feel like the staff are just going to kick me in for using a plastic straw 7 years ago.
Just had a few questions. Do you run UVs? We do. And a few questions on the prices for the consoles. That's that.
I run a UV at the minute.
Yeah.
I actually do. I do. I've got one of the Hagen or the Fluval UVC FX inline clarifiers. and I've got that running on my barb tank.
Yeah.
I really like it. Yeah, cold cathode. Should last a couple of years on the bowl. Yeah, I mean, it has made a little bit of a difference. I was getting a little bit of bacterial blooming. I was getting a tiny bit of milkiness in the tank beforehand. It's gone on. I mean, would it justify, like, I think they're what, 110 quid?
Yeah,
would it justify that for a little bit of cleaning? I don't know. In my case, yes. It did look good.
Right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I think we've exhausted and picked Nathan's brain enough today, but I'm sure he will be back.
You are a superb audience. Remember, guys, I'm here all week. Tip generously and do try the fish.
But yes, we're going to round it up there. Thank you very much.
Seriously, tip generously.
But obviously as well, don't forget to pick up a copy of the Practical Fishkeeping Magazine as well.
Or PayPal.
Or PayPal. But yes, thank you very much, guys. We'll end it there and we will see you in the week.
Cheers, guys. Love you all.
Thank you. Bye.